Hey, welcome back to the stash. There's something truly special happening in Ultimate Spider-Man right now. Month after month, Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto aren't just telling a great Spider-Man story, they're redefining what a modern Spider-Man story can be. Every issue is carefully constructed, every character beat meticulously placed, and every emotional high and low feels so earned. And with each passing chapter, it becomes clearer that this isn't just another universe in the millions, this is a statement, a mission to prove that Spider-Man at his core in the modern day is still one of the most compelling and versatile characters in all of fiction. And then this issue drops, issue 14, and suddenly the entire landscape of the book shifts again in the best way possible. This one is a gut punch, a complete game changer once again, because Hickman in his signature style peels back another layer of the story, revealing not just more about Peter Parker and his world, but about the very nature of heroism, morality, and the lines we draw for ourselves. I just adore how this isn't just another great Spider-Man comic, but rather an incredible declaration on who Spider-Man truly is. But it's also so much more. It's a battle of ideologies. It's the culmination of conflicts that have been simmering beneath the surface for months, all expanding in one of the most brutal, emotionally charged issues we've ever gotten in this series. And at the center of it all is KRAVEN the Hunter. A version of KRAVEN who isn't just dangerous, but terrifying. Not just in how he fights, but in how he thinks, in how he manipulates, in how he gets into Peter's head and starts pulling the strings. But what really makes this issue hit hard is how it challenges Peter's very sense of self, and by the time we hit that ending, Hickman doesn't only shock us, but he leaves us with a question. A question that could define the rest of this entire story arc, and I just cannot wait to see how it all continues. So join us today as we go into Ultimate Spider-Man issue 14, because trust me, you do not want to miss this one. But before we get into that, I wanted to take a quick second to say that here at The Stash, we're trying to reach 8.5 thousand subscribers. It's a huge ask, but with your help, I know we can do it. So if you like Spider-Man or just comic content in general, feel free to stick around and maybe hit that subscribe button. But anyway, with all that being said, let's jump right back into the video. So our story takes place right where we left off last time, with Richard and Felicia in the heat of battle. The Black Cat is still convinced that this certain Spider isn't who he claims to be, and she wants revenge for what he's done to her father. The battle goes back and forth, with Richard realizing that no matter what he says, she won't believe him. And so leaving him with no choice, Richard reveals his face. The Black Cat stops immediately and questions him about how old he is. Turns out Richard is only 15 and a half, whereas Felicia is 16 and a half, only a year older. And because of this, the pair stop their battle fully and properly introduce themselves. Meanwhile, in the Savage Land, we see Peter and Harry making their way to the edge. But only one thing is on Peter's mind as they travel. KRAVEN knows about MJ and the kids. After some sleep, the two heroes are less than a mile from freedom. The two try to fully understand their priorities and their plans for what's coming ahead. Peter's idea is to get out of there and hide their families, then suit up and take care of business, whereas Harry hints at a more permanent solution. Then suddenly, a shot erupts in the air, killing their dinosaur. It's KRAVEN the Hunter. He smirks as the two cornered prey desperately try to regain their composure. The dinosaur landed on Harry. His leg is busted, but thanks to Peter, he lifts the giant animal with one hand off of him. But KRAVEN is still toying with them, and shoots at the dinosaur once more. Harry and Peter run for cover behind a rock. Peter directs Harry to cover in the jungle ahead while he distracts KRAVEN. Peter stands his ground, staring out in the distance with pure focus, waiting for the perfect moment. He orders Harry to go as his spider sense blares. KRAVEN fires a couple shots, but none hit Peter. And so now that Harry is further out, he rushes to go join him. As they regroup though, an unexpected source of help makes his presence known. The Mole Man of all people offers the two heroes a tunnel, a path that leads them closer to freedom. Peter and Harry confused at why someone like him, someone who's meant to be their enemy, would help him, and they ask Mole Man why. He keeps his cards very close to his chest, but mentions how this entire hunt is unknown by the Kingpin, therefore he's technically not betraying his leader. As for his reasons why, that's for only him to know. After Peter and Harry leave through the tunnel, Mole Man is then startled by Mysterio, who has appeared to have been watching the whole time. Mole Man expresses his regret for telling Mysterio that KRAVEN had captured the two heroes, although the cloaked figure assures him he did the right thing. and that they won't forget it. And then in the blink of an eye, Mysterio disappears into thin air. But unbeknown to Mole Man, they weren't the only ones watching, because from a distance we see KRAVEN the Hunter has had his sights locked in on the whole event the entire time. Back up in New York, Richard and Felicia are watching the sunset as they converse about their lives. Felicia explains pretty much everything that led up to her dad promoting her to become the Black Cat, and she even apologizes for fighting him. She's mad at the position she's in, and if you remember in the previous issues we've had, we could see that look in her face when Walter announced to the Sinister Six that his daughter will be taking over. She also asked Richard about what his dad is like, but with the picotech suit warning him not to reveal anything, he plays the classic hero needs to protect the identities of his family card. But if anything, it only adds to the Black Cat's curiosity. Back in the Savage Land, we find out that Peter and Harry, using their bum collars, have now set up a trap for KRAVEN. Harry also reveals that Gwen wouldn't actually be in any danger. They have this ransom insurance kinda thing in place. It's only like 10 times more effective in a sense though. If something happens to either of them, not only does it try to resolve it, but the other person gets an extreme level of security. It's invisible to the person being protected, but it's very effective. It was created by Otto, and Harry would have had the same insured to Peter and his family, but since Pete doesn't trust Otto, they never got around to doing it. It's good that one family is at least safe, but that doesn't change Peter's situation, and so they continue to make their way to the exit. Meanwhile, Mole Man is horrified at what he's discovered. Dozens of his moloids slaughtered without mercy. KRAVEN knew that some of them could actually speak, so he killed each and every one until he found the right moloid who would actually tell him where the tunnels go. Peter and Harry are on the edge of freedom until suddenly Peter's spider sense blares, KRAVEN with a minigun blasts in all directions. Peter in the air dodges all of the bullets until finally KRAVEN is out of ammo. He begins to run, leaving KRAVEN no choice but to follow after his prey until he's right where they want him. Harry throws a rock at their bum collar, causing a massive explosion. It's not enough to stop KRAVEN though. He pulls out a knife and leaps in to attack Peter. But using his uncanny abilities, Peter counters the strike with a damaging right hook. He doesn't let up. Each hit is harder and faster until the third knocks KRAVEN back. On the ground he reaches for his rifle, but Peter effortlessly snatches it from him and breaks it in two. He goes lower and continues to pummel KRAVEN's face in. Harry from the side tries to encourage Peter to actually kill him, but after heavy consideration, he resists. He stands back up and declares that he's not like him. Harry is bewildered by Peter's choice. He knows the type of man KRAVEN is. And as Peter turns his back to the hunter, KRAVEN shoots his gun that he had hidden. The bullet went clean through Peter. He doesn't know how it was possible. His spider sense hadn't warned him of being in danger. But KRAVEN tells him with a haunting smile, it was because he wasn't aiming for him. The realization hits Peter like a tidal wave. He turns around with sheer panic as he finds his best friend dead, lying on the ground with a perfect shot in his forehead. Peter is horrified by the sight, but KRAVEN only continues to taunt him, telling him that he should have killed him then and there, because Harry was right, he will never stop, for the hunt never ends. Peter looks back at KRAVEN, quietly asking him, "What did you do?" before exclaiming the question as he beats KRAVEN to a bloody pulp. He's so close to going all the way until Mysterio reappears and stops Peter. They explain how in this moment, they are not enemies, for they are more interested in him than Peter. But should he die, should Peter continue to beat him to death, then it would mean that Mysterio's attention would shift back to him. And so after creating a sense of doubt in Peter's mind and reminding him about the safety of his family, he rushes over, leaving Mysterio, Harry, and KRAVEN all behind. Later that night, he finally makes it back home. Mary Jane rushes over to him and begins to hold her husband as she asks for answers about the last couple of months. But her worries get worse as she notices that Peter is bleeding, but all he says is that Harry is gone. Harry is dead, and he couldn't save him. Mary Jane can't believe it and is scared beyond belief. But things only get worse when Peter warns her that they now know everything about him and Harry. Incredibly startled, Mary Jane asks Peter, what are they going to do? And so our story ends with Peter Parker declaring that they must run. Every time I think I know where Hickman is taking us with this story, he throws in a massive twist that just elevates the book to a whole new level. That's this issue, yes, but really it's been every issue since January last year. The whole series consists of 14 comic books filled with carefully laid groundwork, every character choice, every interaction, every moment adding another layer to the story. And now, it's all coming together so smoothly and effortlessly. There's a reason why this book outsells Amazing Spider-Man every single month. There's a reason why Ultimate Spider-Man is loved, while Amazing Spider-Man is mocked. And that's simply because Jonathan Hickman, Marco Kiketo, David Messina, and Matt Wilson understand Spider-Man. They don't just tell a Spider-Man story, they tell this Spider-Man story, and that's one that's reached heights we haven't seen in such a long time. And they do it in a way that makes it impossible to look away. This is what happens when creators understand the core of a character while still taking them into uncharted territory. And when it comes to this issue is something different. This is the definitive proof within an already impeccable saga that Jonathan Hickman understands Spider-Man on every level. From the struggles to the morality to the humanity. And he does it all through a dual narrative that reflects one another brilliantly. On one side, Richard Parker and Felicia Hardy. Two people living in a world of superheroes and villains, but their experiences with it are completely different. Felicia opens up. She talks about her father and his complications, whereas Richard, he's more closed off about that. He keeps everything locked away because he knows the importance of protecting his family. Then there's Peter and Harry. And this isn't just them dealing with Kraven, this is the cost of their lives and their families. And I love how they have this massive question that's been looming over them since last issue and even moments of last year. That being, how far is too far? Hickman has been playing with this idea for a while now, but here he forces Peter and Harry to finally confront it. How far do you go when someone like Kraven is hunting you down and threatening your loved ones? Do you hold onto your principles even if it means risking everything? Or do you cross a line that you can never truly come back from? For me, the end result of this climax truly cements this book easily as my comic of the year, and we're only in February. That's how good this series is. And Kraven? This version of Kraven might just be one of the best we've ever seen. He's brutal, unrelenting, and terrifying. What makes him work so well isn't just his physical threat, but rather what he does to Peter and Harry. I adore how this comic does what so many other amazing Spider-Man stories have tried and failed to do in capturing the essence and thrill of Kraven's last hunt. Because in this series, in Ultimate Spider-Man, Kraven's hunt isn't just about killing them, it's about breaking them. He knows who they are. He studied Peter and Harry. He understands Peter and Harry. He is methodically tearing them down, pushing them toward the worst versions of themselves. And the scariest, but also best part of it all? It was working. Peter Parker is a good person, but even the best of people have their limits. Even the strongest hearts have a breaking point. I love that scene where through his own anger, Peter is brutalizing Kraven. And as the fight nears its end, Harry wants Peter to cross that line. He needs Peter to believe that that's the only way out. That they have to end Kraven once and for all to ever truly be safe again. But through his own belief in his own morals and strength, he resists. He knows that he can't go down to their level, that he's better than that. And that's what makes this issue so gripping. This isn't just a fight, it's a philosophical battle. It's about who Peter Parker is when he's backed into a corner and has nothing left. Because no matter how much Kraven pushes him, no matter how much hate and anger he feels in that moment, Peter's core, his true strength has always been his family. That's what holds him together. That's what stops him from going too far. And then Hickman goes all the way. Kraven kills Harry Osborn. And in that moment, Peter almost breaks once more. He lashes out, but thanks to Mysterio, he stops and makes his way back to Mary Jane. Now, I couldn't believe that scene. Like, honest to God, my jaw was dropped when I saw that Harry got shot in the head. Everything about it was the result of incredible build-up, pacing, and genuinely good storytelling. But here's the thing, I don't think Harry is really dead. We have to remember, Mysterio was right there, and if there's one thing Mysterio does better than anyone else, it's illusions. Plus, still, with some of the dialogue in this comic, it just adds to my theory that Gwen is the one underneath the fishbowl. I genuinely do wonder what they're going to do with this character, and I can't wait for that issue in a couple months, I believe, that's centered around Mysterio. But before I wrap this one up, I have to talk about Marco Kiketo once again, because this man's art is unreal. The story is already incredible, but Kiketo's art, it takes it to a whole other level. The way he builds tension, the cinematic quality of every panel, it's insane. He knows how to make moments land, how to make fights brutal, how to make the quiet scenes hit just as hard as the action. And also, his designs are amazing too, especially his Kraven, Peter Parker, and Mary Jane looks. But Peter, especially to me, feels as if the 616 universe version of the character was actually allowed to grow up. Hell, even draws the fangs Peter's hair used to have before he became so generic looking. Overall though, Ultimate Spider-Man issue 14 is simply an incredible, courageous, mature comic book that once again defies my expectations significantly. It doesn't just push Peter Parker to his physical limits, it pushes his soul to the brink. The way it was displayed here, it's top notch. It's honestly one of the best reads I've had all year. And what makes this issue so special isn't just the action or the twist or the stunning art. It's that at its core, this is a story that understands what makes us human. Hate is easy, it's natural, it's inside of all of us. But it can never be greater than what makes us better. It can never be greater than love. And I don't think there's ever been a character to portray that better than the Amazing Spider-Man. Hi, yes, I'd like to book an appointment, please. Oh, what is it this time? Nothing. You know, there's a new Amazing Spider-Man issue out.